What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Nerd Show. I'm back with more NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures, the Target exclusive set, and we're kind of throwing some more together here. So first off, we've got the Wrath of Krang box set here, where we get Krang with the android body, which is really cool, and we get this nice big box again, similar to like what we had with Metalhead, where it's kind of based off the old classic VHS tape sort of thing. So it's got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then what'd be like the title of the movie, so the Wrath of Krang there, volume number 2, as the NECA logo in the old like FHE thing there at the top, so that's pretty cool. Then we have the cover there on the front with the picture of Krang in the body with some turtles there on the side. If we go around to the back, we get a picture there from the show and everything. We get a little description down there at the bottom, and then all sorts of pictures of what we get in this set. But if we go ahead and open it, we can see the android body. It's gonna be hard to see, but we got the big android body there. We have Krang up at the top. We get a baby shredder, which is cool, and then all sorts of accessories for the android body, and then there's a picture there on the side as well. And then throwing in with this, we're also got the Traag and Granitor set. So we got this 2-pack, but we got the Traag and Granitor set, which is pretty cool. So we got some of the Stone Warriors from Dimension X, so very cool set with both of those on there. And then there's a picture of them on the back, and then all the other sets. So very cool for these two. They're just kind of random characters to me, so I'm most interested in the android body, but I feel they kind of go big together. They're two big giant things from Dimension X, and the Stone Warriors work for Krang and stuff, so kind of all fit together here. So let me go ahead and pop these out of the box and get the joints all loosened up and stuff. Got to heat them up and everything, so I'll get that done and I'll bring it back and let's check these figures out together. So here we've got Krang in his android body. So this is a pretty cool looking figure, just how tall it is and everything. It's just so cool. So it's awesome that we get the big android body. We get Krang sitting there right there in the center. And if you don't know, Krang is a warlord from Dimension X, and he was banished to Earth with his Technodrome that was then taken over by Shredder, and so the two kind of teamed up together to try and take over the world. And because Krang is just this tiny brain looking thing, Shredder had this giant android body built so that Krang can be able to move around and do more than just be a brain. So the suit overall looks cool. So it's awesome that we have Krang there right in the middle, so it's a nice little Krang figure, which we'll see. But the body itself looks pretty cool. I always thought this thing looked dope. It always reminded me of like just a giant baby, but it's just a giant like fat guy type thing. So there's like this face. He has some sort of like goggle type things on where he's just got the little slits in his eye. He has little prongs there up on top of his head. He has some suspender straps with some shoulder coverings there, and then he's just pretty much naked underneath. And there's some robotic pieces there in the back, and then he's got some red gloves there on his arms and some like bracelet things. Then of course right in the center we have the Krang little body part where he sits inside of it. Then underneath we got some red underwear, and then just some bare legs, and again you can see some more robotic like squares and stuff there on his legs to get down to the little red shoes on the bottom. So he does look like just a giant baby in a diaper. What I always thought when I was younger and stuff. Just looks pretty cool though overall. So for the android body, his head there can twist side to side, and if you work it pretty, you probably get all the way around there, and you can look down and just look up a little bit, just a little bit of rocking back and forth though. His shoulders come up 90 degrees there and can rotate all the way around, and then we got a single elbow joint that just bends up there a little bit, not a whole lot of movement, but it is bigger body, but it has the twist in it as well. And then we go to his wrist that can twist all the way around, and it's a little stiff, but it can flex back and forth. And down his body we have no ab crunch or anything because of this solid piece right here in the middle, so no ab crunch or anything, but it does have a twist right at the waist, so right there, so you just kind of twist around in there. But then the hips do come up a little bit, again try and get the material stretch, and if you twist out to the side it raises a little bit more, but not a whole lot of range. And then they do go out to the side, so it can be close to doing the splits. And then obviously there is a thigh twist in there as well. We then got the double knee joint there. That's a big fat knee, so it can bend up only that far there, so not too bad actually. It's pretty close to kicking his own butt. And then we got the foot that flexes back and forth and can twist side to side. And for Krang itself, you can put him in and out of it, so you have to kind of open it. So he has these like little like clip things here around his body. I've found that this side over here on the right side is a little bit looser, so I start with this. So I just stick my finger in there, just kind of pull it apart so it gets it loose, and then it just comes right apart. So he just splits right in half there, so that's pretty cool. And then we have Krang sitting on the inside there, so it has a little peg that it kind of sits on, which it does have a hole in it completely, so it just sits right on top of there. And then it has little controls that do move around and everything, so that's a fun little detail that they added in there, that he has little controls to even control with. But we have Krang itself, and it looks pretty cool, so it's nice big old pink brain. I like the colors of it and everything. Has a nice mouth, the purplish color eyes, and then all pink details, and I like the lines in this there. Just like I said, looks like a giant brain, but he has these two arms that come out the front like tentacles, and they do have move back and forth, so they can twist there and move back and forth a little bit. And now we already do have a Krang in the NECA figure, so we have the older Krang. So this is the older one that we got from the very first wave of set of videos I did. So here's the original and here's the newer one. So the newer one's much bigger and the paint job looks a lot better. The paint job on the old one did not look very good. And then just the overall size, like I said, the new one is a lot bigger, and then the new one has the hole in the center where the other one didn't and stuff. So I just like the new one a lot better. Just to me overall looks better. better. I wish it had more of the face of the original one, where it's got, you know, kind of like the open mouth. I just like that open mouth a lot more, but I think overall just the size and color and everything of the new one is so much better. So I just enjoy this Krang so much more. So let's go ahead and slide it back in. I always like to get his hands wrapped around the controls there, and then just kind of get him to sit down on the peg. So he's in position there, and then again put the body, just do the opposite. So I like to go with the left side in first, and then kind of force it down there on the right, and then it kind of sticks right in there. So there we got Krang back inside the Android body. So then we get a lot of accessories for the Android body. So it does come with an extra prong for the top of his head, so I guess if you break one, you do have an extra one there, since it is real thin and small. You'd probably lose it or break it. He then comes with some extra hands, so he has like 2 openish style hands there. Well, here we've got 2 like grip style hands, and then a little bit more open grip styles than wider. For him, he doesn't really hold any weapons or anything, so it's kind of pointless to have like grip hands and stuff, so you really only need like 1 set of hands just to have, but he does come with the 2 extra sets. But then he does come with a bunch of attachments for his hands, so it's just like normal hands that you can obviously just pull right out and switch them out. Well, he comes with all sorts of different hands here, so he has like an axe, so we have an axe you can put on. So again, just slide the axe part right in there, and then he's got a giant axe for a hand. We have a saw blade attachment, so a little piece here that has a little saw part that can spin there and stuff, so you can put that on his hand. But then we get double weapons, so we've got 2 blasters here, which are really cool, so you can stick those on each of his hands if you want, so he can be shooting out blasters. Or the coolest to me are the 2 spike balls, so these look really cool, so they're like giant maces or whatever, so you can just pop these right into his arms, and then they have the chain hanging on, which is pretty cool because the chain does feel like it's an actual thicker like metal material, which is pretty cool, so that's very awesome. Then it has the giant spike balls there on the end. So overall, this just looks pretty cool. I'd like to have these, but it'd probably look kind of weird because it's got the giant arms, and then just go to these little pegs, it'd look a little bit weird, but it's just pretty cool that he comes with the giant spike balls. Well, then we get some accessories from an episode where Krang was taking a shower with the big android body, so we get some accessories from that. So first off, we got a little soap on a rope here, so it's got a nice piece of rope, which is a square block, but it's supposed to be soap, so you can just take and put that around his neck, so he's got that there. He does have a little like shower cap here as it's supposed to be, but it looks kind of like a hat you'd see in like the desert and stuff. So we have a little hat there that we can just go and sit on his head, and then if we do take the little prong thing there, he can stick it down into his hat. Looks a little dorky to me, but kind of fun. And then he comes with a towel as well, which is just a piece of like felt material, so nothing too special, it's just nice blue color. So you can give him a towel, you can maybe wrap it around him so he's all covered up there straight out of the shower. So you can just do whatever you want with this. It's just supposed to be, you know, his towel and everything to dry off, but that's pretty fun that they gave this set of accessories too, where he's got the shower accessories. I think that's kind of funny. We also get some blueprints, so here we have like a whole schematic thing for the android body. Obviously just a piece of printed out paper, has all sorts of stuff labeled on it, but it's got the android body there. And then we have a bigger one here of what I assume to be some sort of ship. I don't know exactly what this is, I've never seen it before, but it's just some sort of robot ship, probably for Krang to drive around or something, but another bigger blueprint there. And finally, the thing I find most important about this is we get the baby shredder, which I think is so cool. So this was from an episode where the turtles met like the frog people. I don't know exactly what they're called, but it was like the turtles, but they're frogs. And Shredder ended up falling into water contaminated with the mutagen, and instead of like turning into a weird creature or something, he just turned into a little baby version of himself. So this is pretty cool. So he's got still has the Shredder helmet on, those giant Shredder shoulder pads there, which have some like brown or rust color stuff on it. Could be almost like dried blood or something. And then he's in the purple robe that Shredder always wears and stuff. Of course, it's like a robe now since it's real loose on him. But it's fun, we get the little face there. So he's got like a whiny sort of face there, the little tiny hands, and then his 2 little feet there at the bottom. And he does have some articulation there, so his head can twist all the way around there. His shoulders do move back and forth. It's easier if you get the helmet away, but the shoulders can move up to like 90 degrees there and rotate around. And then we have the split right at the waist here, so he does have like a crunch, so he can crunch all the way forward and kind of be in like a seated position there. So really fun to have this baby Shredder included. So the Krang in the android body is just really cool. It's just such, for me at least, an iconic thing from the TV show. I was disappointed when we got that first Krang that he didn't come with the android body. It just came with the weird like what I call like chicken robot type thing. But it's awesome that we did get the android body, and it is such a big and giant figure like compared to all the other stuff, so it does stand out and it's really tall. Got a nicer looking Krang that comes along with it. It's awesome that he can ride on the inside and come in and out and stuff, and you can use it as an additional separate figure for itself. So I think overall this figure is just really cool in my opinion. And that brings us to Traag and Granitor, our 2 stone warriors from Dimension X. So go ahead and just start with Traag. So Traag is the leader of the rock soldiers or stone warriors, whatever you want to call them, and he is loyal to Krang, so all the rock soldiers are. And Krang ended up creating creating the rock soldiers from a pile of rocks mixed with mutagen, and it formed into these soldiers. So they look pretty cool. They're big, just giant rock figures. So Traag here is all brown, so he's just like a bunch of brown rocks. So I like the lighter like peach or tan color on top, and then the more orangish brown color for the rest of his body. Has a nice lightning bolt there on his chest, probably the signifier. He's kind of like the leader and everything. So his face looks pretty funny. He's got a flat nose there, some yellow eyes, and he has like the turtle shell style helmet there, so just the military helmet on his head, which looks awesome. He has a belt there around his waist, so it has some like bullets and grenades, and a holster there for his gun. He's got some black and gray boots there on his feet. So overall, he's just a big rock guy, so not a whole lot to him. So for his movements though, his head there can twist all the way around there. He can look down and up a little bit, so just a little bit of shaking in the head. We go to his shoulders, where his shoulder, this one is real stiff at least, but I think this one's looser. Can come up there a little under 90 degrees, so not a whole lot of range. And then it can rotate all the way around. And he's kind of got like a double elbow joint, so it's just a little segmented section, so it has a joint at the top and the bottom. So the top part can move back and forth there, and then we got the lower one, so it allows it to bend up pretty good, especially if you get some like opening parts here. It allows it to bend up pretty far, so it's pretty good overall. And then the wrist can twist around and then flex back and forth. He does have an ab crunch right in there, but he doesn't really move too much. He just kind of shakes back and forth and then twists a little side to side, so not a whole lot of range. He can shake back and forth there too. Since it is a rock guy, you know, don't expect a whole lot of movements in him, but he does have the joint in there. Hips do come up, and you get them twisted to the side there. They do come up a little bit farther, but it does have the thigh twist in there, and they can come out close to the splits. He has a single knee joint there that just bends up a little bit, not a whole lot of range of back and forth, so again, especially for a rock guy, but it does have some range, and the twist side to side. And then the foot flexes back and forth and can twist side to side. So overall, I think it's pretty cool. He's just a big rock guy, but I still think it fits pretty well. You know, a nice, good villain to go along with the show. Another thing to fight against your turtle. So overall, I think they're pretty good, you know, limiting some of the movements, but he is rock, so I kind of expect some of that. But I think overall, it's still a really good looking figure. And then we get his second in command of Granitor, which I think is probably overall the cooler looking of the two. I just like his design overall, and his name is Granitor, so maybe he made a granite and stuff. But I like how he's got the nice big sharp points and stuff, like especially on his shoulders, and his big giant nose there, which I think is pretty cool. But he's pretty much overall like the same sort of design. I like how they have that kind of like camo look to him. I forgot to mention that with Traag, because he's mostly all gray, but then has the light gray into it. He does look more like camo-ish, but again, it's just those highlights. But overall, his body's pretty much exactly the same. The only real difference is his head and his arms. So with his face there, he's got more sharp edges and stuff, like I mentioned, the nose, and then his eyes there in the yellow, and then he's got a really thin neck joint, as you can see there, so it's just his head up on a peg, but it still allows for some pretty decent movements and everything that we'll look at. But then he has the military helmet there, but in blue this time. He has a little pendant there on his chest, probably for his rank, you know, being second in command and everything, and he has the exact same belt, so some bullets and grenades and the holster for his gun. But then he has some brown boots on instead of the black. But as I mentioned, I really like his like shoulders and stuff, just the big giant pointy rock pieces there on his arms just make him look really cool. But for his movements though, his head there can twist all the way around. Again, gotta be careful, because I feel with it just being on this real thin piece, I feel it could break easily, but it does have a little bit of rocking back and forth there, so there's just the headpiece. But then with the additional movement down inside the neck, he can move back and forth there, so pretty good range of movement overall. His shoulders come up a little bit there, a little bit better than Traag's at least, but he kind of knocks himself in the head with his shoulders, so it can come up there and rotate all the way around. He's got the same sort of elbow joint there, so the upper and lower, and so again, if you get him to bend, it bends up pretty far there. And then the wrist can twist around and flex back and forth. Same sort of ab crunch there, so again, not much of a crunch at all. He can shake side to side and twist a little bit back and forth, but he does seem to be built a little bit crooked, so he's really far off to the side there, and it's kind of like he's over to the side, everything. Hips come up there, that far out to the side. He does, of course, thigh twist up in there. A single knee joint once again, just kind of rocks back and forth. Oh, and they have the twist in them. And then we get the foot that flexes back and forth and can twist side to side. So as I mentioned, they pretty much have the same base body, just their arms and heads are a little bit different, but still two cool looking figures overall. And for their accessories, they each come with the same laser blasters. So these blue color guns here remind me of like the old Nintendo guns, so we can stick them into their hands or into their holster. I don't know how easy they'll go in their hands though, so not too bad. They just kind of popped right into their hands there. We get another communicator with Krang on the picture this time, which fits perfectly for this, and then we get a canister of mutagen to go with them, so that's pretty cool as well. But what's really cool with them is we also get these wanted posters for the 3 neutrinos. So again, they are just wanted poster there with each of the neutrinos. So there we have Dask, then we've got Kayla or Kala, again, I don't know how to say her name, and then we've got Zach, which all look really cool. So they're just these nice little like clear plastic pieces that you can see through and stuff. They're like little hologramish type things, so very cool that they came with those, and the nod to the neutrinos there, which is pretty cool from Dimension X, so that is very awesome. So another great set of NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures from the cartoon. They all just look really good. Of course, have all the same neck issues, you know, of like stiff joints, having to heat them up and loosen them up, and then there's issues with like right at the joints. They put paint over, so they just paint them like how they are. So like the elbow joints have paint on, but as you start to like bend them back and forth, the paint starts peeling off and everything. So it's like, what's the point of even painting the joints if it's just going to peel right off? So that's a little bit annoying, but everything else overall I think looks pretty good. You know, there are NECA figures, so you have to be real careful with them, but just the overall look of them just kind of makes me not care too much about that because they just look so good. But let me know what you thought of these figures down in the comments, and have you picked these up for yourself. And if you enjoyed my review, please leave a thumbs up for me and hit that subscribe button down below. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.